Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, June 5th. Jaguars OTA practice number 7 is in the books, was out there earlier today. It was a good day, another light day. Again, right now the Jaguars, they are not in pads, they are not hitting, there's not full contact. So you don't want to take too much away from these practices, but it's still good to get out there on the practice field, I should say, on the playing field at TIAA Bank Field as the Jaguars prepare to open up Miller Electric Center for training camp. The Jaguars are still practicing out on the field at TIAA Bank. What did we see here today? Obviously, you start out with who's there and who's not. Josh Allen, still not there. Jaguars outside linebacker / defensive end, who's been one of the captains on the team for several years. You look at him not being there. This is voluntary. It is voluntary OTAs. Next week will be mandatory, and Doug Peterson, who spoke to the media before practice, believes that Josh Allen will be at mandatory minicamp next week, said that the team has been in contact with him. Bill Shuey has been talking to him quite a bit, the outside linebackers coach. You've had Brinson Buckner communicating as well. You've also had defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell speaking with Josh Allen. So the Jaguars aren't worried about a holdout situation right now. They believe Josh Allen will be at mandatory minicamp, but as of right now, he's off working, doing his own thing, just trying to get ready for this pivotal season in his career. Going into year 5, he's entering that 5th year of his rookie deal. The Jaguars picked up the 5th year prior to the 2022 season. He's now entering that 5th year. He's either going to get paid before the season by the Jaguars, maybe get paid by the Jaguars after the season, or end up somewhere else. That's where he's at right now, and I think he's just wanting to be locked in on what he's doing, getting himself right, trying to have the biggest season of his career, no doubt about it. Still no word on Evan Ingram. The Jaguars and Evan Ingram trying to work out a longer-term deal. He's currently got the franchise tag placed on him, has not signed the franchise tag. He wants a little bit more long-term stability. The Jaguars and his representation are working on getting that done, but at this point, still not sure where that's at. Mike Caldwell, the Jaguars defensive coordinator, he also spoke with the media before practice, had some interesting comments. One of them was Trey Herndon, he believes, was really underrated by Jaguars fans and media around the league last year after he switched inside to nickel. Mike Caldwell thinks he did a really good job, had some games where you just did not hear his name called very often. So I think that Mike Caldwell's belief in Trey Herndon. Obviously, Trent Baalke's talked about Trey Herndon being a quality third corner this offseason. You've kind of expected them to potentially go add another veteran that can compete for that job. They certainly brought in depth that can compete for the job in the draft by bringing in Eric Hallett, by bringing in Christian Braswell. So there will be some competition, but right now it looks pretty clear that Trey Herndon is the third corner and would be the starting slot corner for the Jaguars entering the season. Is that good enough? I'm not sure. I think when you look at him in the context of nickels around the league, definitely not upper echelon. And that's just kind of the way things go sometimes. Not every team is going to have an upper echelon starter at every single position. But for me, would I like them to continue to try to fortify that group? I would. We'll see if they do. Doug Peterson mentioned they will be monitoring players, whether it's pass rushers, nickel corners, whatever it may be, throughout the lead up to training camp and in training camp as well. So we'll see what happens there. But right now, they really like what they have in Trey Herndon at their nickel spot. Trevor Lawrence, may have heard of him. First overall pick in 2021. He has been showing tremendous command of the offense, and I don't just mean after the whistle blows. I mean when he is in the huddle, when he's communicating with these guys, when he's sharing with them how he wants routes run, the timing of things. You just see more leadership and more command from him in that regard than you have seen in the past, and it makes sense because he's not learning a new offense in 2023. He's just building off of what he already learned in 2022 from Doug Peterson's offense, and now he's able to better communicate with his guys about how things should be taking place. Again, the timing, the pacing, where people should be. And so I think that's going to really show up on Sundays when you have a guy who's not just trying to figure it all out from play to play, drive to drive, game to game, etc., you have a guy who really feels a lot more confident and a lot more leadership within this offense in 2023. I think that's going to make a big deal for the Jaguars. The wide receivers, they just continue to look as good as I've ever seen them here in Jacksonville, really better than I've ever seen covering the team since 2016 here in Jacksonville. I just cannot overstate how good I think Calvin Ridley is and how much better I think he is making Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and the rest of these guys. They look really, really good out there. You saw Jamal Agnew haul in a pass way down the field in the end zone, probably a 35-plus yard throw from Trevor Lawrence, who was kind of scrambling around. Jamal Agnew got wide open in the back of the end zone. Lawrence kind of had to throw from a interesting different arm angle, off platform, other side of the field, but Agnew was wide open and he was able to deliver the football. Jamal Agnew went up and extended for it, got his feet down in bounds. It was really cool to see that type of play in practice. Certainly kind of Trevor Lawrence just gaming, right? That's definitely not how the play was drawn up, but that's how it went down, and cool to see Trevor Lawrence converting on that type of thing. But those wide receivers just continue to really impress me. And I think the tight ends had a really nice day. Evan Ingram not there, so you're seeing more of Luke Farrell, Brenton Strange, Garrett Prince. And each one of those guys made a big grab today down the field in practice. I think you've seen Luke Farrell consistently making a lot of plays for this team. And this is a tight end the Jaguars have talked about really liking a lot over the last couple of years. He has the ability to line up in line and block for you and also has some athleticism, some pass catching ability. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Brenton Strange this offseason. The Jaguars drafted in the second round of the draft a guy who went up and made an extended catch over the top of the defense earlier today. And then Garrett Prince had a big catch downfield as well. These are players that are continuing to grow in this offense. I think they look good. And once Evan Ingram comes back, obviously they'll take a little bit of a back seat to him. But right now, these reps are valuable for these guys. Trayvon Walker, when you had the offense and the defense on the field at the same time, he had a near pick off a tipped pass. Jermichael Hasty couldn't quite hang on to a short pass. Trayvon Walker got his hands on it, but then got bumped by another offensive player. Couldn't quite come down with it, but he again just kind of showed his athleticism, his freakish size and length for sure. You saw Foye Oluokun, I think, looking really good, looking like a leader. I saw a lot of communication from him, a lot of energy from him today. That's to be expected for sure from a guy like Foye Oluokun, who's led the league in tackles 2 years in a row, came over for the Jaguars and made a huge impact on that defense last year. But it's good to, continue to give some of these guys praise that deserve it. As I mentioned earlier, this kind of ties into the Trey Herndon thing. You did see him in coverage today. Christian Kirk wide open right behind him. So didn't like to see that when you're talking about watching number 37 out there. Tank Bigsby, he just continues to impress me as well. His size, stature, movement skills. He has a lot of energy, brings it to the football field, looks really good doing it. Andre Sisco, he's been looking great. He would have blown up Christian Kirk over the middle of the field at one point in practice if this was a live game, no doubt about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much my takeaways from this OTA number 7. It's the third OTA that media has been allowed to attend, and the final OTA media is allowed to attend. Mandatory minicamp is next week. They'll have 3 practice sessions that we will be out there for, and hopefully being able to glean a little bit more. Hopefully you see Josh Allen out there. Hopefully you're able to just get a little bit more access and see what's going on a little bit more, being out there 3 consecutive days. We'll see how it all plays out, but thank you so much for tuning in here to Duval Daily. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. You can also hit that like and subscribe button, really helps the channel out. You can also drop a comment in the comment section below on YouTube if you're on your podcast platform of choice. Please subscribe and review. Have a good one, Duval.